Hey everybody, I'm Kenny Wayne Shepherd, hanging out with my friends here at Fender, and we're just checking out the brand new Kenny Wayne Shepherd Stratocaster. I'll just walk you through like all the features of the instrument real quick. Starting up here at the headstock of the guitar, we have a color matched headstock, which I think is beautiful. It's just that little something extra, shows that little bit of extra effort that went into the making of the guitar. One of my favorite features that has nothing to do with the sound of the guitar is the signature on the front of the headstock in this position right here. Because when I was a kid and I went into music stores and I saw the very first Signature Series Stratocasters, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Stevie Ray, Buddy Guy, Robert Cray, all those guys, all their signatures were up here. And so to me, like, that is a signature Strat, with the signature right up there. So I'm really excited about that. We got the vintage tuners. We did a vintage finish on the back of the neck. Beautiful profile, very accurate replica of the neck off of my 61 Strat. 7 1/4 radius, 6100 size frets. We got the block inlays, and the reason for the block inlays, I think they're beautiful. Fender back in 66, 67 let a couple of Strats out of the factory with binding and block inlays, so it's kind of a nod to those guitars, but it's also functional as well. Because when you're playing on stage, the LD can actually throw a combination of lights on you that can render the dots almost invisible sometimes, depending on the lighting. And I found that sometimes I was struggling to see where I was at on the neck. So this binding and the block inlays, with that combination, you're never going to wonder where you're at on the neck. And we split the 12th fret, gave it a nice little feature there. So then you get to the body. We have a custom translucent sonic blue finish, first time finish for a Stratocaster. We have the Polaroid pickguard. We have the custom voice Kenny Wayne Shepherd single coil pickups. You got your volume knob, your tone, which works for the neck pickup, and this tone is wired to the bridge pickup. So you can dial back the top end. You got a 5-position switch. You got an ash body that's chambered, makes the guitar super light, super resonant, sounds killer, Graphtec saddles, tremolo bar. There you have it. The goal for this signature model guitar was to create a guitar that has completely its own identity. I didn't want it to be just a continuation of the last signature model. This is going to be an American-made guitar. It's going to be, premium build quality, premium components. And first and foremost, I wanted it to have a premium appearance, So every aspect of this guitar has been touched in some way, changed in some way, is different than the last. It's just that, when you play and own a lot of guitars, there's not always just one specific set of things that you want all the time. And this is a representation of a lot of different elements of a Fender Stratocaster that I really enjoy playing as well. And I think the end result is an extremely beautiful instrument. It plays and sounds just as beautiful as it looks. When we sat down and began building this guitar, there was a conversation about the pickups. And my last pickups in my last signature model, we worked for 2 years on the sound of those pickups, and I was really happy with them. But we all agreed that, this is a new guitar. We need to address the pickups again. But then, we basically wanted to kind of increase the sonic range across the board. Maybe slightly a little bit less because we have Alnico 3 for the magnets and for the pole pieces, but maybe a little bit less bottom end, but we got a mid-range boost and a little bit more glossy, kind of glass-like sounding top end. So right off the bat, they're hotter pickups, which means they're more responsive. So, you know, for the dynamic players out there, I mean, I like to hear every little, you know, scratch of the pick. I like to hear when I'm playing harder, when I'm playing softer, you know. So we wanted to create some really dynamic sounding pickups that didn't really color the sound of the guitar. It just basically enhances the sound of the guitar. So you got the sound that you would expect in a Stratocaster, but you got more across the board, and it's crystal clean and clear, and it's not, you know, not too dirty. It's not so hot that it, you know, muddies up. It's just about the right, perfect balance to my ear of what a single coil should sound like in a Strat. There's several different reasons behind the chambered body. Basically, the first thing you notice when you grab this guitar is how light it is. It's like really incredible. It's surprising to pick it up, you know, because it's an ash-bodied guitar, and ash can be really heavy at times. The ash was necessary for the finish. So this finish is a custom color that we created called Translucent Sonic Blue. And we did a number of prototypes and with different woods, and we were kind of working with alder at first, but the grain, there wasn't enough grain to really see it. And so we had to go with ash, and ash is appropriate because the original Fender Strats from the early 50s were all ash. That's why they have that beautiful wood grain that comes through that sunburst finish on those guitars. So ash is a natural choice. It's not very sonically different from alder, but it can be heavy. So we chambered it. So you pick it up and you're like, whoa, I can't even believe how light this guitar is. But it also makes it more resonant, you know? So when you just play the guitar without even plugging it in, I mean, acoustically, you know, the guitar rings, it really projects. And so it adds a really nice musical quality to the instrument as well. The Graphtec saddles are probably, besides the vintage style tuners, it's probably the only thing that's a direct carryover from the last guitar. And I've been using Graphtec saddles since I was like a teenager and they first came out, and I was having string breakage problems. I usually play like heavy strings. Back then I was playing heavier, but now I'm doing like 11 through 58. And what can happen is over time, those strings can kind of wear through the finish. If you got nickel-plated hardware or whatever, it can wear through the finish, and it eventually wears a groove into the saddles. And my guitar, that became like a sharp edge. And so I play really hard. And when I would hit the string, sometimes it would almost just like cut the string. You know, the string would break down here at the bridge. And I was really struggling with string breakage issues. So, you know, as soon as I heard about Graphtec saddles, I put them on my 61 Strat, and it virtually eliminated my string breaking problems. And I put them on every guitar after that. And so it's only appropriate that it's on this guitar as well. And I think, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that have heard about the saddles and maybe not had the opportunity to play a guitar with them, and here's your chance. Well, the neck is really important to every guitar. You know, any guitar you pick up, I mean, that's like really the thing that you put it in the palm of your hand, and either it sells the guitar or it doesn't. I mean, it either feels right or it doesn't. And for me, the neck profile has always been extremely important. And since I got my 61 Strat, that was a guitar that I picked up, and the moment I held it in my hand, I knew it just fit like a glove. And it was like, that was the guitar that was made for me, right? So every guitar that we built with Fender, to some degree, has been an attempt to recreate the neck profile of the 61 Strat. And this is realistically the most accurate representation of the neck on my 61 Strat as far as feel goes. the tapered, towards the headstock, the feel down here, the heel, every aspect, the 7 1/4 radius, the jumbo frets. I mean, it doesn't look like the neck on my 61 Strat because of the binding and the block inlays, but it certainly feels like it with my eyes closed. It's great. And, it just has that familiarity to me. That's really important. I mean, we basically recreated the neck from, in my opinion, the best playing Stratocaster that I own and that I've ever played. And so every time I pick one of these guitars up, it just feels perfect. When you're a young guitar player and you're trying to find your way and you're just learning to play the instrument, I mean, we all have people that inspired us in the beginning. You heard some music and you go, I want to play that. I want to play like that. And for me, it was a lot of blues music and blues players, so it was like Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, John Lee Hooker, Stevie Ray, so forth and so on. The list goes on and on. And, I picked up a little something different from each one of those guys. I mean, the biggest inspiration for me in the beginning was Stevie, because I got to meet him when I was 7 years old. Literally changed my life. All I wanted to do from that point forward was to get my hands on a real electric guitar and try and learn how to play with that fire and that fury, The main thing that I listened for in my heroes was the feeling and the emotion that they conveyed through the instrument. The guitar is one of the most amazing instruments to me because you can literally convey a feeling through this instrument without opening your mouth. And you can bring people to tears with it, you can move people without even words. From the get-go, the Stratocaster is one of the most, maybe the most versatile guitar in existence. I mean, when you have a combination, you got the 3 single coil pickups, and then when they introduced the 5-way switch as opposed to the original 3-way, I mean, it just opens up a plethora of sounds. And we wired the tone control. You can manipulate the tone on the neck pickup, and then we have this one wired so that it goes to both of these, but primarily for the bridge pickup, because those can be a little bit bright, and then it allows you to roll that back. But between all of these knobs, man, there's an endless variety of sounds that you can create. My favorite sound, and the thing that was the absolute most important to me with the pickups, was the neck pickup, because to me there's nothing better than a great sounding neck pickup in a Strat. And to get that nailed from the get-go was really important. So I think we did it, Bottom into it, but not overwhelming it, not, making the bottom end kind of, splatter or anything. And it's just got real clarity, but the mid-range gives it that little extra that pushes it out front. And then it's really responsive to touch. All the positions are really responsive to touch, so you can be very gentle with it. And that also means that all your little mistakes are going to be heard too. So, you got to work on being accurate, which is great. And every pickup is like that, so responsive. the perfect guitar is a sum of all its components, right? And frankly, the perfect guitar for this song may not be the perfect guitar for the next song. So it kind of all depends on the mood you're in and what you're looking for. For me, this literally is a great instrument because of the sum of all of its components. And like I mentioned before, it's like picking it up, playing some chords, you know, fretting the neck, bending the strings, going check, check, check. All that feels good. That is probably 60% of it right there, right? But then you got the pickups and the very important role that they play in the sound of the guitar, you know? So really the fret wire, the profile, you know, the fretboard, the pickups, the saddles, I mean, all of it. And the weight, I mean, I'm just telling you, like, you know, nowadays, I think as people get a little bit older, the more you're standing on 2 feet, you're playing for hours on stage and stuff like that. I know a lot of guys that have been playing guitar for many, many years, and they're complaining about their lower backs, you know, because of these heavy guitars that they've been lugging around for so many years. So it's really refreshing, you know, when you pick up a guitar. Some guys like are just impressed before even playing the first note on a guitar when they pick it up and they realize how light it is, you know. So like I said, a great guitar is all about the total sum of its components. And I think, you know, this is a great guitar.